I, 29 female, married my wife in October of last year. Best day of my life. My 32 sister Bianca has been in MLM for almost 3 years. She has seriously become another person since she started her business. We share some group chats, and not a day goes by that she doesn't send out catalogs, promotions, and walls of text about how lucrative the opportunity is. About the topic. It was the beginning of the wedding reception. My wife and I are talking to some of our guests when our wedding planner frantically approaches us and tells us that a guest is handing out MLM business cards to arriving guests. It turns out it was Bianca. I asked her to stop and she did, except she spent the whole night trying to talk people into the business. In the grand scheme of things, what Bianca did was insignificant because my wife and I were very happy that day and there were no major problems, but I still get angry when I think about how uncomfortable it must have been for the guests who were subjected to her presentation. Fortunately, they graciously accepted our apologies. Whenever my wedding is mentioned, someone will indeed mention my crazy sister who was promoting her MLM. So incredibly embarrassing. Bianca and I haven't had a lot of contact since then. Yesterday, my mom called me and after a bit of catching up, she told me that my sister's business hasn't been doing very well and she's been struggling to meet her monthly quotas, so now she's behind on rent and needs money. Bianca asked my mom for money and she in turn asked me to help her. I said absolutely no. She embarrassed me at my wedding, she didn't even apologize, and I was sure she would use the money I gave her to get into another MLM now that this one was no longer working for her. My mom said that I'm cruel and rude. She said that she didn't raise me to betray my family. I told her that she was just feeding my sister's fantasy world and making her believe that at some point she will be successful with her MLM. Am I the idiot? We're not on speaking terms right now. Not the idiot. Your sister's business isn't failing. She's just not able to afford to continue being a customer in the pyramid scheme. The sooner she hits rock bottom, the sooner she'll learn she was taken advantage of and people helping her, slowing her fall with money, will only be brought down with her. The only real way of helping is if they're finally down and out and realize they don't want to be involved in that crap anymore. My God, the nerve of these people. She used your event to promote her business to people who were a captive audience because they didn't want to be rude to your sister. I'd be angry about that myself. A celebration of two families coming together is no place for someone to peddle their business. What business? MLMs are legalized scams. I made more money trading during a stock market crash in a month than my sister, who festered in one such scam for years. My sister's business hasn't been doing very well. She doesn't have a business. She has a spot at the bottom of a pyramid. What she did or didn't do at your wedding is irrelevant when it comes to whether or not you should give her money so she can sink it into this or another MLM to fund the dreams of her uplines further. If your mom wants to help her, she should help her get out. It's amazing how MLMs brainwash people and get them to do things that make absolutely no sense. It was extremely rude of her to use your wedding to promote her latest MLM. She needs to get a job making money. I have a relative that quit a good-paying job because the boss told them to stop trying to sell their MLM junk to co-workers. Seriously, the person was mad that they were told they were being paid to work for ABC Corp and were expected to leave MLM off the premises. Anyway, congratulations on your recent marriage. My wife and I have 3 children, a mid-teen female, a young teen female, pre-tween male, but only the oldest is relevant here. She's always been very gifted academically and since 3rd grade was a year ahead in school. We always ensured she wasn't too overstressed and still had time to be a kid. We didn't want her to end up burning out. Overall, she was quite happy and seemed to be in a good place until last year. She was a sophomore, but the school said her grades were good enough to skip another year and go straight to senior year. She was hesitant, but they said it would be good for her development, so we decided to move her up, which I regret. She still got good grades, but was very stressed and busy. She has a great work ethic, but sometimes I think it causes her to put more effort than is healthy into her work. She was tired, less outgoing, and generally more down. She had difficulty getting along with the older kids and never made any new friends. The worst part was that she skipped junior prom and had nobody she knew to go to senior with. So she's graduating this year and explained that she doesn't want to attend college next year. I understand her reasoning. She'll be much younger and sharing classes with older adults. She thinks she overdid it. It isn't her fault, but she thinks otherwise, skipping 2 grades and wants to just relax. She said she's sick of never spending much time with people her age and wants to age into college a bit. She's willing to work and stay busy this next year but doesn't want to do college yet. I think it's the right call. She's still a kid and will have more time to enjoy it. I'm honestly more worried about her socially than academically. All the degrees in the world won't matter if she can't talk to anybody. My wife disagrees and thinks she'll waste the entire year when she could be studying. She accused me of being a fun parent who doesn't care about our daughter's future. Not the idiot. Being 2 years younger than everyone else might not seem like much, but it is at that age. Being mindful of your daughter's mental well-being does not make you a fun parent. It makes you a caring parent. Since your daughter seems to be feeling depressed and burnt out, I would recommend you stand your ground. Her academic possibilities won't diminish from waiting a year. You recognize the early signs of burnout for your daughter. If you were to force her into college now, it would just get worse. Good on you for taking mental health seriously. Many adults take a gap year to recharge mentally, and because she's 2 years ahead, after her gap year she'll still be 1 year ahead. Win-win for everyone. Agree. So she finishes university early too? Then what? Works till 65 or retires 2 years earlier than her peers? What's the end goal of rushing through it all? The journey should be enjoyed just as much as the finish line. Maybe a selling point to your wife could be for her to use this year to catch up with some of the things she missed out on while focusing too hard on academics, i.e. social development and health habits, rather than characterizing it as just relaxing and lounging around for a year. I, 37 male, am getting married this fall and have chosen not to invite my daughter Bella, teen, due to circumstances I will explain in this story before people tell me that we should sit down and talk or do therapy. Those options have been exhausted and are no longer viable. My ex-wife Teresa, 38, and I do not have a good relationship. We started dating at 16 and then had Bella at 21. At first, everything was awesome, but then my wife started hanging out with a group of women, just not very good people. I refused to hang out with them. My wife started drinking heavily with this group and going out at night, leaving me with our daughter. I didn't like how she was keeping up our home either, as I worked full-time and she didn't. The final straw was when I was forced to come along bar hopping. Teresa got embarrassingly intoxicated, then started calling me a loser in front of everyone. This was not the first time she'd publicly disrespected me. She habitually tried to show off to her friend by belittling me. I filed for divorce the following weekend. The original custody agreement was 50-50, which then changed because I asked for a DNA test on Bella. I'd heard rumours and wanted to confirm. My ex blew up and refused to allow a DNA test to be done, solidifying what I expected. My ex returned and got full custody because I refused to pay child support without a DNA test. This has been the arrangement for 5 years. I see Bella a few times a month. Her denying the test was all I needed to hear. It was cheaper than paying for one, and she wasn't chasing child support, so I wasn't going to go chasing a test that I already got a de facto answer to. I do what I can, but I don't have custody, so it's difficult. I'm engaged to one of my best friends, Chrissy, 33 female. We've known each other since college. Bella hates her for no reason. Chrissy wasn't even involved in my life once I got married. Bella, for some reason, thinks she's terrible. Chrissy has been nothing but nice to Bella. Recently, someone showed me Bella's social media, where she blasted us, saying how she'd had a deadbeat dad, not true as I paid for her and her mom for 7 years, and still give her money whenever I see her, and called Chrissy a witch in the same post. I was planning my invites for our wedding, and I didn't invite Bella. She doesn't care for us. She called Chrissy a witch, and shamed me on social media lying for attention. I also don't want drama at my wedding. It should be a fun time, not another event for Bella to hijack. My ex-wife found out about the wedding and asked about Bella's role. I told her she didn't have one because she wasn't invited. I called Bella and gave her my reasoning. As well as telling her that her social media post played a factor, she should be more careful about what lies she wants to put out there. She tried to apologize and say she would behave at the wedding. I told her that I knew she didn't like Chrissy or me that much, so why would she expect an invite? She called me an idiot and we haven't spoken since. Am I the idiot? If you've wanted a DNA test for 5 years, that means Bella was what, a tween when you decided you wanted one? This tells her that you only consider her your daughter and want 50-50 custody if she is genetically yours, even though you raised her from childhood. Weird hill to die on if you actually care about her at all, and weird to expect her to want to get along with your fiancé. You are the idiot. I wasn't going to go chasing a test which I already got a de facto answer to. Look, they made up their mind and didn't care about the kid anymore. He never actually got the test though. He took her refusal to take a test as definitive proof that Bella isn't his. There's still a chance Bella is his. I can't even fathom caring so little about a child you raised. From your daughter's perspective, you are a deadbeat dad. You could have gotten the DNA test yourself during your custody time, but it's a lot cheaper to just stop paying child support, isn't it? Gee, I wonder why she resents the father's fiancé, who abandoned her with an alcoholic mother. What a mystery. That poor girl. Yep, he wanted a plausible excuse to ditch his kid. He got one and is now crying about what a victim he is. OP, get a court order for a paternity test before you stop paying child support. So you also raised this child but she isn't your daughter? That is new depths of idiocy. OP's not the idiot. I have a question for you. Are you saying a man should keep paying child support for a kid he was lied to because he was paying it before? Why should he not have the chance to enjoy the money he's making on what he wants to? It takes two people to make a baby. If he was not one of them, he shouldn't have to pay. Also, why was the wife so against the DNA test? I don't know where you live, but if you lie to someone about the kid being theirs and they've been paying child support, you can get your money back in some places. My mom died when I, 19 female, was 7. Our dad started dating a year later. He met Sarah, they got married 2 years later. Sarah had a daughter who was a toddler when they moved in, which was about a year after they started dating. Sarah and my dad also had my 3 half-siblings together. So I have one stepsister who's now a tween and 3 half-siblings. 2 pre-tweens and 1 a year younger. My brothers are teenagers. My dad stayed pretty close to my maternal family and they were welcoming to Sarah and my stepsister and half-siblings. They were not a regular family, but birthdays were remembered and there was friendliness there. My maternal family saw them as sort of family friends, but Sarah was not their new daughter and my stepsister and half-siblings were not considered additional grandchildren. My dad understood this, and sometimes my brothers and I did stuff with our maternal family without everyone else. The problem comes in because Dad mentioned to Sarah at some point in their marriage that my grandma had a cookbook, to which every family member had added a recipe. He added one when he married my mom, and Mom added one when she was 15. Her siblings added one as kids. My brothers and I all have a recipe in there, our cousins too. Aunts and uncles related not through blood but through marriage have a recipe in it. Sarah waited to be asked to add a recipe. She also told my stepsister and half-siblings that they would get to add a recipe too. When my stepsister said she knew the recipe she wanted to add, Sarah decided to ask my grandma when they could add their recipes. My grandma said she never planned to ask them to add recipes and she hoped Sarah would understand it was for their family. Sarah and my dad argued about it. I learned about it from my brothers when I visited for Christmas. They said Sarah and the other kids were upset that it wasn't going to happen, and Sarah was saying they were part of the family and it was unfair to exclude them. I was home again for my dad's birthday last week, and Sarah was angry that my maternal family was invited to Dad's birthday. I told her she behaved like a child who couldn't let go of something. My stepmom said being excluded from your own family is hurtful, that it was hurtful to children especially. I told her she and her kids were never part of my maternal family. They were welcomed as family friends because of Dad and my brothers and me, and she should understand that and never have expected they would be included in the recipe book. Sarah said I was rude and kicked me out of the house. She told me I owed her a big apology. Am I the idiot? So Sarah wanted so much to be seen as a family member that she kicked her 19-year-old stepdaughter out. Slow hand clap. How's that plan going, Sarah? You are not the idiot. I hope your father put her in a place and you're now back home or somewhere safe. Your mother's family does not owe your stepmother, and quite frankly, your father one thing. They truly are good people for maintaining the relationship with your father how they are. So I wonder why she's offended if this is your late mother's family. You're correct in what you said to her, and she should have explained the family dynamics to her kids. I could understand if this was your dad's blood family, but it's not. She conveniently forgets the fact that the only reason her husband was asked to contribute to the book was that he was married to your late mother at that time. She's acting as though her marriage to your father actually replaced your mother with her own family, which is absurd. If your father leaves this abomination of a step-parent, she'll have no ties to your maternal family. I'm a 22-year-old female and my boyfriend is 27, Tom. We started dating a few years ago, but he lives far from his parents, so I've never met them before. But we travelled to their city and arranged to meet them. I have a weird skin condition. When I was born, it was placed on my scalp, not just regular skin, so my hair had a little white piece. As I got older, the skin patch increased, and now it's exactly half my hair. My actual hair colour is black, so I unfortunately look kind of like Cruella de Vil. Anyway, when we were driving to his parents' house yesterday, Tom asked me if I had a scarf, wig or something to hide my hair, and I said no. He hadn't said anything about covering it before, and I know it's not for religious reasons to cover hair. I asked him why he wanted me to cover it, and he said he didn't want his parents to see it yet. They had to get used to me first before revealing something like that. I told him I wasn't going to cover it, and so he got a bit testy. When we arrived at his parents' house, they stared, and it wasn't the most enjoyable experience, but they seemed to like me nonetheless. But on the ride home, Tom was mad because he saw that his parents didn't like it and now they would probably never like me. He said I should have covered my hair and things would have been fine. So, am I the idiot? It seems that his parents disapprove of our relationship now, according to him. Not the idiot, but dating one. Tom cares more about his parents' perceptions of your hair than about you and your feelings. This won't change until you confront him or you leave him. For goodness sake, if you were the wrong skin colour, would Tom have asked you to cover that too? Do with that information what you will. Also, your hair sounds rad as crap. Right? Oh no, my girlfriend looks like Anna Paquin in X-Men. How will I show my face in public? Anna from Frozen also has a big white streak. So obviously, you either look like a superhero or a princess. Take your pick. Even if you intentionally dyed your hair that colour, he would still have no right ever to force you to cover it up. Everyone in my family would be like, I'm so jealous. Her hair is awesome. I was just complaining about how my grey hairs are all random and how I wish there were solid bits so I could have some fun with bright colours. OP is not the idiot, but I agree your boyfriend is. He's been super weird over hair.